Afenifere is a leading socio-cultural organization for the Yoruba people of Western Nigeria. It stands out in its advocacy for the protection of the rights of the Yoruba people in particular and the proper governance of Nigeria in general. During the period of military leadership in Nigeria, Afenifere was at the forefront of its call for the return of the country to civilian rule. Pa Ayo Adebanjo was one of the founding fathers of the group. He made his voice heard on a number of issues, and long after the return of democracy to Nigeria, he continued to lend his voice to national discourse. On Valentine's Day 2025, while lovers across the world were coasting in merriment, the news broke that the iconic Pa Ayo Adebanjo had passed on to the great beyond. In this edition of Back in History, we bring to you his profile and his life and times. He died at the ripe age of 97. He was older than Nigeria as an independent country and had seen Nigeria in its many phases and metamorphoses. Welcome to this edition of Back in History. Pa Ayo Adebanjo was born on April 10, 1928. He was a Nigerian lawyer, nationalist, and co-founder of Afenifere. He was born in Ijebu-Ogbuoke, which is now in Odogbolu local government area of Ogun State. At the time of his birth, Nigeria was under British colonial rule. His father was Chief Joel Adedeiro Adebanjo, and his mother was Salawatu Anomo Adebanjo. His parents settled in Lagos. When the young Ayo Adebanjo was of age, his parents took him to St. Saviour's Primary School in Legbata, Lagos, where he was enrolled for his primary education. That was between 1934 and 1935. From 1937 to 1941, he attended Holy Trinity School, Ebutero, and proceeded to Cathedral School, Lagos, where he completed his secondary education in 1943. His classmates described him as intelligent, bold, and courageous. Done with his secondary education, he ventured into journalism, which at the time had thrived rapidly in the city of Lagos in particular and across Nigeria. Ayo distinguished himself in this field. Pa Ayo later gained employment at the Ministry of Health. He was however dismissed from the said ministry for reasons which several persons have considered to be ridiculous, harsh, and undemocratic. He was dismissed for participating in pro-independence protests in Lagos. The colonial administrators at the time were averse to any form of gathering or assembly that was meant to further the cause of Nigeria's independence from colonial rule. It was a taboo subject, and citizens were arrested and locked up, and those that were in the employ of government were summarily dismissed as punishment for getting themselves involved in the agitation for the grant of independence to Nigeria. But Ayo was undaunted. He left the ministry and continued to support the quest for independence. This paid off, and on October 1, 1960, Nigeria became an independent country upon the lowering of the Union Jack and the hoisting of the green, white, green flag of Nigeria. With only a secondary school certificate at the time, Ayo could communicate effectively in the lingua franca of the country without any limitations whatsoever. He could engage in conversations with anyone, no matter how highly placed. He was well-read, he was intelligent and articulate. But he was not satisfied with secondary school certificate alone in his kitty, and for this reason, he took the decision to further his education. Law was his most preferred career choice. He made the needed application and was admitted by the English Council of Legal Education to study law, and in 1961, Pa Ayo Adebanjo was called to the English bar at Lincoln's Inn upon his successful completion of his legal studies. This was one of the happiest moments in the life of Ayo Adebanjo. He would never forget this moment throughout his life. It was a dream come true. For him, a license had been given to him to further the cause of society and speak for the oppressed, the downtrodden, the poor, and the vulnerable, and the rich whenever his services were needed. Chief Ayo saw law as an instrument of social change and advancement of the cause of society. He then returned to Nigeria and went straight into full-time law practice. He joined the law firm of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and together with others, he handled several landmark cases. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was called to the same English bar on 19th November 1946 and was senior to Ayo Adebanjo. Ayo learnt law practice and politics under the foot of the legendary Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Ayo was a sound and fearless lawyer. He was loved by many that came across him. Pa Ayo Adebanjo was a founding member of Afenifere, established in 1993 as a response to the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. The group emerged from the legacy of the Action Group, a political party founded by Chief Obafemi Awolowo in the 1950s, and became a key advocate for Yoruba interest and democratic reforms. From founding member, Pa Ayo Adebanjo later became the leader of Afenifere. As Afenifere's leader, Ayo Adebanjo campaigned for the restructuring of Nigeria into a federal state, arguing that centralized governance is not good for a multicultural entity like Nigeria. Afenifere under Adebanjo opposed military rule and supported the National Democratic Coalition (NADECO) during Nigeria's pro-democracy struggles. His tenure later witnessed the factionalization of Afenifere, which later degenerated into his being expelled from Afenifere by a rival leadership of the group led by Pa Fasuranti. In 2023, during the campaigns for the general election in Nigeria, Pa Ayo Adebanjo's faction of Afenifere gave full endorsement to Peter Obi of the Labour Party as the presidential candidate of the Yoruba Sociocultural Organization, and called on all sons and daughters of Yoruba land and Nigeria as a whole to give their support to Obi's candidacy. On his part, Pa Fasuranti's faction of Afenifere gave endorsements to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who at the time was the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, the APC. Nigerians went to the polls and Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerged as the winner of the election and was eventually sworn in as President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. Following the news of his demise, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a press release personally signed by him, described Pa Ayo Adebanjo as, quote, a political leader whose decades of unwavering struggle for justice, democracy, and national unity left an indelible mark on our nation's history, end of quote. The president made no mention of Pa Ayo Adebanjo's stiff opposition to his ambition to become president of Nigeria, which opposition took place barely a year and a half before the demise of the elder statesman. Rather, the president poured encomium on Pa Ayo Adebanjo and enumerated his contributions to Nigeria as a nation. For many observers, the president, a Yoruba man, was simply exemplifying the best of the tradition of the Yoruba people of Western Nigeria, where the dead is treated with reverence and where no ill is usually spoken of the dead, irrespective of the differences that one may have had with the deceased while alive. The president stated as follows in his press release and tribute to Pa Adebanjo, quote, all who knew Baba Adebanjo drew from his boundless wisdom and cherished the democratic ideals he tirelessly campaigned for. His principled voice, which resonated through decades of political activism, will be deeply missed. As a nation, we will miss his regular interventions in national affairs, which enriched our political discourse. Though we mourn his departure, we are also grateful to God for blessing him with a long, remarkable, purposeful life, 96 years of unrelenting advocacy for progress and unity. The president went on to say, still in quote, Baba, a lawyer, statesman, and politician, stood among the last of a generation of nationalist and independent heroes who shaped the foundation of our country. A devoted disciple of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, His contribution spanned political eras, from his role as organizing secretary of the Action Group in the First Republic to his leadership in the Unity Party of Nigeria during the Second Republic. In moments of national crisis, Baba's courage shone brightest. When democracy hung in the balance after the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, he joined the National Democratic Coalition (ADECO) as one of the leading voices against military dictatorship, helping to galvanize a movement that became the bedrock of our collective struggle to reclaim democratic governance. His unwavering commitment to truth and justice extended to my journey as a governorship candidate in 1999. Baba Adebanjo's steadfast support was instrumental in my election as governor of Lagos State under the platform of the Alliance for Democracy. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu continued still in quote, "Though our political paths diverged in later years, my respect and admiration for him never wavered. Until his death, I shared a deep personal bond with Baba Adebanjo. He was like a father figure. I extend my heartfelt condolences to his family, the Afenifere family, the governors of the Southwest, past and present, and all Nigerians who shared his vision." The president then added, still in quote, "Let us take solace in the enduring legacy of a man who dedicated his life to the service of others, a legacy that will continue to inspire generations to come. May the soul of this great patriot find eternal rest, and may his ideals, which he so passionately envisioned, forever resonate in our country." End of quote. Signed, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, February 14, 2025. Since his demise, tributes have poured in from all over Nigeria and from the diaspora. Governors, leading politicians, leaders of Afenifere, and the who is who in Nigeria have paid condolence visits to the family of Pa Ayo Adebanjo, while others have expressed their condolences in print and on social media platforms. Even Pa Ruben Fasoranti, the leader of the factional group of Afenifere, has also sent his heartfelt condolences to the family of Pa Adebanjo. Pa Ayo Adebanjo was married to Chief Christy Ayo Adebanjo, and together they had children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. The couple had been married for not less than 60 years. Pa Ayo died at his Lekki, Lagos residence on February 14, 2025. He will be remembered by many for many more years to come. Thanks for watching this edition of Back in History, and do remember to subscribe to this channel or follow the page for regular notification on every new video. I am your friend and host, Ekemini Udim, wishing you the best of time in all you do.